Hello guys, welcome to another video. I'm so excited to shoot this. So today we're going to be talking about waking up, like wake up guys.
One, two, three, let's go!
My tendency is to be a very half full glass type of a girl, and I always like being positive and eradicating and just looking for the positives and just being optimistic in every situation that I am. So on Thursday I came to a realization after realizing the genre and the motive of a couple of movies that I've watched, especially in the last 2 months, I would say, especially in 2024, and it brought an awareness and alertness to me deeper than ever before. And what I would like to say is that I'm realizing there's a lot of propagation to send a certain type of content or a certain type of conformity in population, especially based on the kind of movies that I've been seeing, which have been trending, or even the music that has been coming out, especially the mainstream music. And I think this came about due to the momentum that I was almost in a trajectory where I was in a state of chaos, in a state of like that whole day brought to this realization when I was watching a certain movie, and then it made all the sense based on some of the movies that I've been watching. So what I started seeing is that there's a lot of like programming, as people say it, and pushing of certain kind of reasoning and information to people, and the people are really asleep to this, and it's happening right in front of your eyes. A lot of people say this, and if you haven't heard of this before, take note. So I started realizing like a lot of artists and musicians that we do really admire are being used to propel this kind of information. And it really makes a lot of sense, because if initially we have a certain kind of emotional connection with an artist or an actor or an actress, someone we truly admire, we get really receptive to them. Like whatever they say, the brain wouldn't know exactly if this is a movie or it's something like someone is acting out of the real situation of how things are. Like the brain doesn't really decipher that. And if you continually start seeing information that is kind of pointing the spectrum in a certain kind of direction, that becomes conditioned into you subconsciously without you knowing. And people sometimes fail to understand how impactful the kind of music and the kind of movies that you watch, because literally your brain won't be like, oh, this is a movie, so we're not gonna pay attention to this. No, like your body doesn't really actually know if this is something that is playing out for fun. Like your body doesn't know jokes if you come to think about it. Like everything is just reality of some form. And so like a lot of people who want to propagate a certain kind of idea, they use these channels where they take these artists or these actresses, musicians, people not having really a strong motive or an intention based on what they play, especially in this entertainment industry. All this information continues being put there. People they don't have intentionality behind them, because having talent is one thing, but having talent and using your talent in a good way, it's even more divinely sweet. Like it's even more impactful in ways than people would even imagine. And it's funny because that's what people are looking for, but they are not yet able to understand what really they are looking for. We'll get to the next point of bots. Like let's say robots who get programmed to where they see someone they really admire having said something, and then they think just because that person they really admire them, and they don't know. Furthermore, like literally, when you come to think about it, they don't know these people in personally. They don't know these people personally. People are putting on facades every single day, and we've seen occasionally a lot of times where we see an artist who sings a certain song propelled in a certain direction, caught on camera trying to hide this same kind of music to the immediate family because they know how detrimental it is. And so they don't want their kids or their sisters or some like their family listening to the kind of music that they they produce. And it's funny because that shows like they already know like innately they already know what they're doing, but they still keep on choosing to do that. Are we still gonna sit here and blame those people who are doing all this, no matter what their motive may be, the money or the fame or anything or whatever agenda they may have to be doing this? Are we gonna sit here and blame them? No, because that's futile. And when you come to think about it, we all have free choice. We all have free will. Like we can choose to see what's really going on and choose another direction and choose a different outcome, because the, your association with this kind of music just propels you to the realization of such kind of occurrences in your life, because this is what is ending up programming you. And what we need to realize that those people who have these ideas or these ideas to propel this kind of information, let's say for example they're in a higher state of in society, capitalism, where they have a lot of money and they can be able to pay large sums of money to these people who they think they are more influential, they have a lot of influence, and they already have a lot of emotional connection with fans all over the world. What ends up happening is that they pay these people, and a lot of people in between listen to this kind of information and they act like bots for the information, where you find someone and you ask them, okay, why do you think, why are you doing this? And the simplest answer they can give you is because I saw this person doing this. And they don't even know why that person was doing this, and they don't even see the consequences that it's bringing to their life. And that's why I'll continually I'll continually say in this video, guys, really need to wake up. And so, speaking about that, I want to remind you about your free will. Just know, just because all these things are happening around you, you don't have to be susceptible to them. You can change. You have the free will to say, to choose to ignore that and choose not to resist it, because whatever you just resist persists. Just realizing what's happening and just choosing a direction that you want. And you can do this consciously, and you have to be intentionally. It's a thing that you commit to every single day, because when you fall asleep, it's everywhere. Like literally, it's everywhere around us. And I wanted to bring a topic that I thought about, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, this is vital. And it could be a reason as to why there's so many things like that, because I do really like finding reason as to why things are happening, instead of me just assuming something it's bad and being like, oh, it's bad, I'm not gonna do it. I like knowing why it's bad and going behind the curtains a little bit, and so that I can decipher what's really it. It's almost like the knowledge of bad and good, and realizing the full spectrum, but also realizing the more you tap into the bad, you continually attract the bad. And knowing that the solution is only the good, and focusing on the good and just leaving aside, just not fighting against, not teaching against this, and just realizing I need to step to this direction, because your awareness, your attention to the bad just propagates the bad. For anyone who maybe this is the first video you're seeing me, oh my god, I wish yeah, you're seeing me, like I'm from Kenya, like I'm from Africa, and growing up, I've really had a very strong influence to the Western world, and I think it's happening everywhere, because like subconsciously a lot of that world countries and a lot of people are getting influenced by the Western world for various reasons. Even those seeds planted in the Western world are becoming very apparent even here in Africa. And some of the ways I would see exactly, like just to give you example of what I'm speaking about, and although conformity goes in so many ways, one of the things that I'm seeing being propagated a lot in this whole advertisement, I would say, that is going on in the movies and the music and everything, is the exchange or almost the dissolvement of the gender roles. And that's so it's just so like I don't really understand where this is coming from, because as a species this will only end up hurting us. Because when you think about a team, let's talk about maybe a team that really wants to win, like a soccer team, a football team. If everyone wants to be the goalkeeper, who's going to be the defender and who's going to play other roles? What I'm seeing being propagated is that both genders are equally the same, and that's they are equally same, not in terms of equality. The two genders are equal, but the equality always almost becomes misinterpreted in between, where people start thinking that equality means that what a woman can do, a man can do, and a woman should want to do what a man is doing, and a man should want to do what, like it just becomes this chaotic thing that's just gonna hurt all of us as a species, no matter where you are. And like it's such settled things that almost throws you out of, like when you start thinking about the evolutionary curve, where there's a center in the circle, where the center is the knowledge of everything, and if you continually tap to the center, it's almost like you are awarded and satisfied for playing the role of evolution, and you know, and being that person who is playing by the rules almost. And this is just a very vague example compared to what I'm seeing being propagated. I just don't want to say, because I don't feel the need. I just want people to go and do the work for themselves, to go and see it and start being alert to these things, and start seeing, like we need to start working together here, and being able to call out people if we start seeing bullshit. Because at the end of the day, it all depends with each and every one of us. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're in India or in Africa or even anywhere. And I'm not calling out saying that all people at the top are bad. There are so many people at the top who know they are trying and they are good people. But we also have to be susceptible to realize that there are people who just have a lot of money and a lot of resources in whatever area, and they're just so unintentional. And so for them, finding a purpose or finding a higher being, as we are all propelled to look for something deeper, they end up trying things that are like literally our ancestors would roll in the grave if they knew this was happening. And it just becomes this thing where they try to make everything that is evil and bad almost normal, and it's detrimental for all of us in different ways. I started realizing, especially when I was growing up, I used to think, oh, my parents, my grandparents, they don't know much about technology. Like, why should I even listen to them? Like they are backwards. Almost, okay, the term is backwards. But I started like as I'm growing, I started realizing a lot of gems that they were giving to me, but I was so naive because I was so drawn out of my inner world to the physical distractions that are there to distract all of us. Because when you start thinking about it, for them, for the generations behind us, they were so in tune with who they are because they didn't have so many distractions like social media or technology. And so what ended up happening is, because all the keys and all the locks that we need to open for different various reasons that we have, and different various purposes that we have as humans, they are all within us. So what ends up happening is that with all these distractions outside us, for technology, for social media, to do this, to accomplish this, all these desires and all other manifestations or other distractions that are there, they keep us out of the truth and the wisdom that we seek, and that is inside us. So like a lot of people who already know this, they will try as much as possible to leverage that, due to the like propulsion and trying to drive in certain informations that is not beneficial for anyone really. And you can't really blame them because we have the free will. And so the key here is to tell you guys to wake up and realize these things and choose your reality. And one of the key ways I've realized is a way that people are waking up, is they're waking up to realization that they can live the life that they want, they can fulfill their desires, they can have the material but what we are seeing ending up happening, and this is all, it also happened to me, because that was one of the ways that woke me up to this realization. You start realizing that desires are there to always be desired. Like you fulfill one desire but another one sprouts almost immediately. And all this sprouting of new desires, the manifestation of desires and sprouting of new desires, yes, it helps you work with your energy, because what we end up seeing is that energy affects matters and energy molds matters. You can never change something with matter. It's you working on your energy. It's always moving from a spiritual plane to a physical plane, not vice versa. So if you really want anything, or you want to meet your desires or manifestations, you need to work on your energy, on your spirit, and be the guard of that, because working on that almost just makes you attractive to whatever you want, and whatever you want on a material level gets attracted to you. Your energy attracts matter. Having said that, you quickly realize that that's also another treadmill that you go in through, where you feel like you're never satisfied, and you're always looking to manifest something, but it never feels your thing. And this is a human nature that we have, to always seek a higher power. And what ends up happening is that people are really afraid of this process of inner work, because it's painful in different ways. Like, it is painful, and I sympathize, but it's something also very easy and doable, and anyone can. And what we are seeing is that people are afraid to do that, and they would rather do anything outside. And that's why we're seeing people propelling and doing evil things, because they are looking for that fulfillment of a higher power, the realization of our power, which we are always looking for. And that's like one of the main fundamental, it's the main thing actually, as human beings. That's what you're looking for from the moment you're always going to that realization of divinity, and it's within us. So what ends up happening is that we see people taking on these routes to try and do the most outrageous things, in thinking that, okay, maybe if I do this, it's gonna help me tap to that feeling that I really want. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know how to say this, it ends up entangling a lot of other people. And that's why we can see without its conformity, because it's someone who maybe thinks, okay, maybe if a lot of people do this, it will be more satisfying to me, but like that's a loose game. And so the message of the video, guys, is actually like to wake up, and information is the key, and your knowledge and finding out who you are and doing your inner work is the first and the most crucial process to you waking up. And then obviously with the information, embodying the information that you want, and also being able to decipher what is right, and wrong, because there is right and wrong, like, and also remember not to beat around so much on working on the bad thing, like almost like fighting against, why do I have this thing, and putting so much, because literally however you put your attention to or focus something on, like, it will just manifest more. So if you're looking at your bad traits, or something that you have that it's not good, and being like, okay, why do I have this thing, like, how can I change this, okay, but why did it come, like beating around so much on that, it will just bring more of that. It's inner work is just realization of things that maybe are not wanted to you, and maybe that things you would want to change, and having a conscious mind of realizing that, me having realized this, it's just about transmuting it to something else, and almost taking the good knowledge of this particular lesson that you've realized in your life. And so the message today is wake up, guys, because like your choices that you make in life, they truly have effects, and they're very consequential in your life. And like, don't be afraid to stand up, don't be afraid to be alone. Please fight the urge of conformity. Like, one of my biggest fear, I've realized, conforming. Even sometimes when I feel like, okay, I'm agreeing with someone so much, I'll almost take a break. I should, like, I take a step back and be like, okay, what's going on here? Like, oh, am I still like doing this thing because I want to do it, or is it because like someone else did, and what is the intention behind that? And it's this innate thing of me to always avoid conformity, because like it's so easy to conform, but also it's very important to realize like this is a double-edged sword. Where in a relationship, for example, like conforming to in a relationship where, especially as a feminine woman in a in a divine, with a divine masculine man, conforming and almost surrendering to a man who is like in his divine power and almost obviously like beautifully intentioned and good intention, it can be very beneficial for you. So it's almost like not always balancing your power, so that it's not over or so under where people take advantage, but waking up to the realization of all this, where you play around and you get very intentional. And as I said earlier, it's something that really takes effort. Like it will call for your daily reassurance and readjustment and doing all those beautiful things that they're so beautiful to do. And it's this process that brings you the true satisfaction and brings you to your divinity, sense of divinity of what everyone is looking for. And the beautiful thing about this, it just gives you everything you want, because if you're with divinity, what that means is that before if you even utter anything, it's given to you. Before even you ask, it's given to you. For all this process is beautiful to say, and the message of the video today was to tell you guys to wake up, and I hope this message is beneficial for you, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, have a lovely time. Bye bye.